tied up 1-1 here at HGC Korea. Ballistix took game 1. Dragonshire, nearly a perfect game. Tempest comes back in dominant fashion with triple DPS. Top lane, Zeratul in game 2. Now we go into game 3 to see who takes the lead.
Yeah, not triple DPS. Triple DPS. Oh, let's see if that happens. Triple tank. Lots of bruisers in the front line. Triple warrior. Has been a scary thing when you think about breaking in to the triple warrior where there are so many CCs. It's actually really tough. Scary to actually break through. Which one do you target? Which one do you focus? Do you even have that much time when there's so many CC? But there were tools. They had Maiev. They had Zeratul. They can blink in, spirit in. And the DPS from the opponent has no escape. What a lucky series. What a lucky game this is.
Yeah, by the time that they realized that Raynor needed to be further back, then it was too late, and he couldn't do anything when he was that safely positioned. I feel like bunker has limits, you know? I think that's one of the things we learned in this. Because the bunker, you normally think, okay, I have bunker, so like no matter what, I should be fine. But actually, when Jungha himself is under fire and has to use the bunker to save himself a lot of the time, it gets bad. And that was just by rotational control.
Or if he's dead, he can't use it. Or if he's in VP, he can't use it. Disc. So Tempest have figured out a very good way to actually go against SC's Raynor. So that's trapped.
And it all goes back to the Li Ming ban, you know? If they hadn't done that, which was super intelligent against hero pools, then they would not have had Maiev open. So it wouldn't have even been possible in the first place without that intelligent move.
And it is Battlefield of Eternity, Game 3. I can imagine the Li Ming ban once again here.
Yeah.
Or first pick.
One of the two. Have to ban the Hanzo here. Oh, okay, well, now
At least one of the two will be open.
Ballistix is going to get either Hanzo or Li Ming, so you have to decide which one you'd rather give. I think I'd rather give Li Ming when it's SCE on the other side.
Ban Hanzo, I think, is the answer. Oh,
okay.
Interesting choice.
Well, that's not a surprise.
I think they want to try Zeratul once again. That's another thing that we know from Pash.
The problem is that Zeratul could be banned by Ballistix now, unless they pick it here, which means the draft is super predictable. I don't think they get it. Thrall does get in for the first time, though, with the Maiev ban instead of the Thrall ban, so this gives an opportunity now for heavy protection of Raynor. You've already locked down both of your DPSs as well, so the draft is wide open now for Tempest. It's pretty cool what they've been able to control with this. Blaze again here for Jungha. Protect Hanzo. Hammer removed with Li Ming means this is going to be straight up the race game. Deckard banned, but that's I don't think necessarily what Tempest was going to pick in this draft.
Yeah, but it was an easy one. You take white main and you take the other top tier support away. I think they just have to scream for Malfurion or anything else that may help them trap down.
Well, I think Kharazim is pretty likely. I don't think this is going to be the Malf pick. Although, as I say that, I pick it with the Anubarak, so sticking with more comfort picks here. The thing about the Malfurion in this case is, you know, is very powerful against slow damage like Hanzo's damage, and it's very good with follow-up routes for both Thrall and Anubarak.
Yeah, also good for race, but they need one for racing now.
Yeah.
Thrall's not enough. And you need to have Thrall with your team.
Another Phoenix here. This time it's going to be SDEs. So, very solid draft for Ballistix here. I look at this and I say, well, how does this Anubarak get in and find the way to hit this backline that has both DPSs have great escapes? It's going to have to be Sundering engages, which is so predictable in this era. For Tempest now, we're looking, of course, for the solo laner. Yrel is open, probably the safest pick. Okay, another triple DPS, but it's going to be Thrall solo lane. You would think, but it could be Raynor solo lane so that Thrall can go crash lightning.
Or just Thrall solo lane and have massive pokes. And by range, I think Raynor Vala should win unless a lot of burst skill shots from Hanzo hits. So that's going to be a crazy double range DPS matchup at the bottom.
Going to be a little bit nuts. Very unique drafting style coming out of Tempest, and we're actually starting to see a meta shift, G-Clef. We've seen both, well, actually really all three of these teams, Ballistix, Tempest, and Miracle, moving away from 2 DPS, 2 tanks, 1 support quite a bit. And, you know, we're not going back into double support or anything like that, but we're going into non-meta solo laners. So I didn't see in draft, so we'll have to wait until it pops up here on screen unless you happen to catch who is playing the Thrall. Here we go.
PG-13.
And it is, in fact, Lockdown. So he will be the solo laner in this case. Dami and Good will be in the bot lane. He has not shown Crash Lightning yet because he wants it to be a secret to Ballistix, whether he will be going solo or top lane. And as soon as he goes top, he will lock in Echo of the Elements, probably. We'll see what he takes in this case.
And no ace in the hole because they... Which is kind of weird because they already have Q Vala.
Very strong.
They're really going for... They are literally going for a race now.
Yeah. Phoenix actually in the top lane at the moment. I don't know if he's been scouted, but I think he was.
They're trying to bait Thrall. Lack of escape, I would say, after the root. Seems like he has managed to escape just in time.
It's a pretty nice mismatch here for Ballistix. The problem is that Raynor on the other side, especially because he did not take ace in the hole, is going to really push this bottom lane with Vala. It's Q Vala, but still, it's Vala, right? So in the short term, I think this works out really well for Ballistix, but in the long term, I'm not sure if that's going to be the case.
Vala against the draft with Ballistix. You would think, oh, it's going to be mostly poking and some sustained damage because they're all ranged. Well, once Garrosh throws you over, that's done, of course. But when Propulsion hits you, and the chain with 13, maybe the root from white lane, you will be tossed and getting burst down, and Vala has to be careful a lot in this case.
Yeah. Look at how much damage is being done to Hooligan despite the armor. It's a good matchup to deal with this kind of Raynor poke because you have that armor. So this actually works really well, the lane swap that Ballistix is doing. But you have to be careful about that. And you know what? I think, looking at it now, we have a chance to kind of take a step back. I think this was actually much better for Ballistix. I wasn't sure that it would be in the long run, but they positioned themselves so well to deal with the 4-man push bottom that they took less damage. Overall, the fort is actually damaged in the top lane.
Well, it's all up to Thrall. Even post 10, where you just have Sundering. Either you use it defensively to save your backline DPS or to initiate a fight to separate Hanzo or Phoenix from that white main. White main, both teams, how they focus. I can't really see one team just dominating post 10 because I think Malfurion's amount of healing may be a weak link to Tempest, and that's why you said another support instead of Malfurion. And in that, they picked Vala, which was very questioning.
Yeah, it's just non-meta at the moment, but when you have Vala, Raynor, and Thrall, you have a great race composition. You have a lot of damage, but you have the worrisome thing is, even though Thrall has some self-sustain, he's not a tank, right? And that means that the only real solid peel you have is Nubrok, but he's an initiation tank, which means he's always going to be at risk of being killed early, and then the rest of your comp falls apart. Thrall can keep himself alive, but not for very long if he doesn't have a tank peeling for him. So in the opposite side of things, Blaze will be able to stay alive a lot longer if Garrosh dies. And Garrosh is not an initiation tank, so he should, in theory, be able to live longer. So Ballistix has his comp where Phoenix and the Hanzo pick are going to be very scary. Tempest has a lot of cool initiation they could do with a Nubrok, Sundering, etc., but I do worry about just, does Lockdown live or does he die in these fights?
Yeah, let's see the race. Ballistix got there first, but Tempest actually going about the same. Only about 600 difference here.
Yeah. It's going to get a little bit more interesting here as they swap sides during halftime. This is going to be where Ballistix has to really commit in because they didn't get the positional advantage this time. They have to defend, and SC is just trying to solo. He actually makes a small mistake and gets stunned. That's going to buy a little bit of time here for Tempest.
Forces them to a bad position. Tosses into a stun, and that buys a lot of time. But Hooligan in danger.
SDE is doing so much damage right now. Oh, and they all get stunned! That's the first kill, and SDE wants to warp in for more, probably. Lockdown is very low, and this is what I'm talking about. When a Nubrok's dead, guess what? Everybody's dying. Hyde has to get out of here. Easy win for Ballistix. As soon as a Nubrok is dead, Ballistix can do whatever they want.
That was a really smart toss by Hooligan. Just trapping down, stunning them into the Immortal stun as well. And that was a 4v5. That's how much synergy they actually got off of that Immortal stun, plus the CC that connected right after. That leaves an important mark where Ballistix, they lead in this way. They also control really hard because Thrall's not as fast as Blaze. On the rotation, he hasn't really making late rotation in the macro all the time.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you know, he is controlling the top lane quite significantly. It was earlier with the lane swap, the 2v1 mismatch that got them such an early push, but now he's just basically out-wave clearing Thrall, which is what happens in the top lane. Thrall, if he tries to kill Blaze, will like usually have hard times, especially if the stun connects like it just did. But in terms of wave clear, like Blaze just has the more consistent way to deal with that in just the soul lane itself. This is gonna force a reaction out of Sign, as you can see here. But already Jungha's like, well, I'm out.
Well, I
don't see anyone on the map, so I'm actually just gonna hide.
So in trade, they were supposed to get the top camp. They don't even make that happen because Sign was the one rotating up. Because they need some other heroes down here to clear the wave and sustain.
Tempest is really on the back foot here because it's tough again for them to initiate with Sign.
Yeah, post 7, and Vala gets that double Q. They can race for the Immortal a lot faster.
They have this minion wave, so they can go deep like this. I actually really appreciate what Ballistix is doing. Meanwhile, Lockdown's actually going to die in the 1v1. That almost never happens in Korean play. Feliz versus Ballistix, that doesn't happen almost ever. That is insane. A moment of silence for Lockdown still
yes,
here.
RIP. We know that Jungha's really good at solo lane.
Yes.
And compared to him, Lockdown, it was not his position to start off. But that should not happen, I do agree. And let's look at Race post 7 though. Ballistix before 10, so Ballistix Tempest looking for their last window of chance here.
Thrall and Anub'arak are not here. So Ballistix is going to get about a 1.5k health lead during that interim. Meanwhile, you see the split off of SDE to get the level 10. He's just trying to get that fort that will guarantee it. Even another wave of minions will be enough. And now Tempest is really stuck between a rock and a hard place. They don't have 10, they can't engage. They just have to take this camp. That's all they can really do. And 10's up now, so it becomes even harder to like even soak right now because Ballistix can go deep, look for a fight. They're gonna have a half shield Immortal. Insane advantages. This fort that's up in the top lane is basically irrelevant because it's gonna die before the Immortal even tries to hit it. Tempest is just hoping to get a little bit more damage done to get Tempest no minions bottom. It's such a rough time. Like, there's nothing to soak. They're going to try to get 10 from killing mercenaries, but they missed the window. Now they're hearthing home.
And Tempest say no, because they don't really see anyone with that Immortal, with that big rotation. Even with that, they saw the camp taken. So they knew that the members of Ballistix were around that bottom fort. They can't even engage. They don't do any damage to the fort. That rotation was poorly executed. Even more time lost. This Immortal does 3 damage.
They just couldn't go top to get minions, and there were no minions in the bot lane. Got 10 now.
They have 10.
Yeah.
Looking for a chance. Jungha spots him.
All right, so he's very likely going to cocoon Blaze again. Too late this time. Sundering on top of the bunker, completely worthless. There's the catch on the Lockdown with the arrow. Massive salvo, and the taunt as well. Sign is dead. And if Hooligan gets out of here, this may actually be a keep. Look at the heals coming through from Magi. Keeps them alive, and now they can push for the keep. He's got so much mana left still. I think they easily get this. Easily.
That's white meat. You can channel that from a long range.
Super short cooldown as well. Okay, they do not fully kill the keep, but...
Well, when you have SC's Hanzo, you gotta look closely where that scatter lands.
Let's take a look back at the history books, because this is relevant.
They do have Cocoon, so they are actually going to come in.
Yeah. But taking a look back in the history books here, it's relevant to look back at 2016 Tempest, which again was a fairly similar roster, but not the same. Lockdown and Dami, two flex players on the melee. Neither of them could play Thrall well. And in the Thrall meta, they never played it. And now Lockdown has died solo on Thrall in the solo lane, completely whiffed a Sundering. And I think those old memories are probably flooding back.
He really needs to have an earlier engage before the bunker actually comes down. Toss another one onto Sign. Defensive Sundering this time.
Yeah. So kind of a, I don't want to call it a defensive strafe, but definitely on his way out
Just
while he was using it, let's just say.
Just a little more damage.
Okay, Sign gets caught. I was going to say there's an opportunity here, but because there were no cannon towers up, SC was in a pretty vulnerable spot. Tempest does not have 13, but they do have all their members alive this time, and they can just look to hit this Immortal hard. I think defending is actually incorrect for Tempest because they will just always lose out to the poke here. I think they have to somehow fight.
Pinging on Hanzo.
He's spotted already, a Sign is, and he's targeted here by SDE. Still sticking around. They're at least able to push Ballistix off the Immortal temporarily.
At least they're pressuring them out. The question is, they're defending because the level difference here. 2 level gap, no 13 talent.
It feels like there's no way in for Tempest at this point. They have initiation tools, but because they went for a non-tank top laner, if Sign dies, he has to be the one who initiates, and if he dies or gets too low, then they can't do anything in the fight.
And if SCE and Jungha just blocks all the shots from Dami, Immortal is not going to go down at the same speed of Hanzo.
I mean, Ballistix basically just traded up super hard in a 4v5, and then as soon as they realized Tempest couldn't chase them, they went and finished their Immortal. They don't get full shields, but they get half, and that's good enough because they've already damaged top keep. Now they're going to push bot keep.
No, I don't think they're invading this. They wanted to pressure the top so that the bottom Immortal goes further. They can buy time with the rotation. It's one of these things when the top team actually controls the macro and never lets go of. Kind of like how Genji does it all the time. But in Ballistix, when they have the tools, they cannot be stopped by Tempest. This is what happens.
Yep. Go back to the Leeming Man over the Hanzo. I mean, there's just so much flexibility with this, too. This is going to be the wall dead easily for free. But that's when the shields are going to be gone on the Immortal. That's when it's going to run forward here and attack melee. Not quite yet. Maybe one more shot. Okay, now it's going in. But look at Sign. He is absolutely able to do nothing. And he has to be the one who starts the fight. Sundering is up. They need to be careful about stepping over the line.
That's why Lockdown is all the way bottom there. But one hide is caught. There's no more healing coming through for the entire team of Tempest.
And that's basically GG here, G-Clef. Now they're going to fight forward here. Dami and Good, no way to get healed up. They have to go back into the Hall of Storms. Good mounts to go in.
If they had bunker, maybe they would have went in once more.
I think they're playing too safe. I think they could have actually engaged much harder there.
They have Aegis, so I thought maybe it's possible, but bunker was maybe a safety tool that they needed. Because Lockdown is there. Of course, no Sundering. It's on cooldown, but still, you just have to be careful.
Well, now they still have total control over this game. Tempest has the same problems they had right before that Immortal fight. It's that against this type of composition, Anub'arak has to be so... He has to play so aggressively, and Ballistix is playing so well around that it's just tough for him to really do anything meaningful. Look at where Sign is standing most of these fights. He's behind the squishies because he's looking for an opportunity to counter. He's hoping that Ballistix tries to commit in and he can turn around and hit them.
Yeah, Sign's going to be the second one in. It's going to be the Sundering initiation and then CC follow-up in this case. He's not going to be the one to initiate unless he gets a perfect angle. So they're waiting for that, but once Thrall's not in the same perfect position, when the entire team of Ballistix, they're all spread apart because they know what the angle he's coming from.
The other thing, too, is that Sundering has anti-synergy with Anub'arak because it splits everyone away, so you're very less likely to get a multiple stun burrow charge after a Sundering because it pushes everyone in 2 different directions. So it's like, if Sign starts it off and they follow up with the Sundering, maybe they could get some kills that way. Oh my god, Dami. Give me a heart attack. But yeah, it's just rough, man. And Lockdown is not a tank. He's got spell armor at least now. It's going to be somewhat useful against the Qs coming out from Phoenix. And the scatter arrows, I guess, but...
So he's making a big rotation.
Yeah, this is their chance. It has to be like right now.
And they actually do not know, it seems like.
Yeah, they don't. SDE is walking into a trap. First stun, second stun, where's the sundering? Strafe here, but the root completely nullifies it. And uh-oh, Strafe used. No advantages.
First time White Mane heals pretty well and has cleanse as well.
Top push, gonna kill the keep. No one can deal with that. Catapults are pushing bottom. Tempest has already missed their window. That was their one shot. And I don't know what they can hope to do now. It has to be about the sundering. It has to be about the sundering. Eventually, this will just get poked down.
Poked down, plus the keep on top. We see the PIP on the left bottom.
Yeah. That's, I mean...
Goatman doing work with the wave. The keep will be going down in the next 20 seconds.
It's almost like they're just waiting for Strafe to come back. But I don't know if that is what's going to save them. It's going to go down. Core is under attack soon. And in a moment, Tempest is going to lose this game because they won't be able to Hearth Home to defend their core. This is their moment. They're coming in. Sign, up at the front. Sundering set up here for Lockdown. Look at it. Look at Lockdown to the top. After the bunker. Horrible Sundering. Completely whiffed.
He got Hanzo down. But the Sabo takes out 2, so it's a lot more that they had the bunker to trap all the way down. If they can get SCE, maybe there's a chance. But oh man, they go way too in.
Lockdown Sundering just did not hit the mark, man. Yes, they did get the kill onto Hanzo, but the damage that was done while they had to dive that deep was just too much. Core's gonna go down here. A sign will.
He's homeless.
He's gonna take the camera.
He found
glory.
a new home.
It's actually funny, we never had this until like this week in Korean Heroes, but now recently it's just when the game's over, there's always like one guy who's just like, well, I'm just gonna sit here and dance. But that's gonna be the lead going over back to Team Ballistix. I would love to know, I don't have the stats right in front of me, I could look them up, maybe I will, but the Hanzo win rate on this map, it's just so good. You let Hanzo through over Li Ming. It's a risky choice. You give SC his best hero. If you let Li Ming through instead, they can't as consistently solo the Immortal. It's much more risky. Then probably in this case, SC has to play Phoenix, which is a little bit less comfortable with, even though he did take the win earlier on Dragonshire. Take a look at these stats. Lockdown with 3 deaths, again on this Thrall. Just not really working out. The Sundering attempts have been a little bit lackluster. He died in the soul lane to Jung-Ah.
Yeah, that was a pretty bad moment. And also Vala does have the most damage, but who do you really have from Tempest to actually get the kill? Do you have anyone like Karazim, Greymane? Like you were mentioning Karazim, I think that was much better support.
Yeah.
To focus damage, to go in, actually pressure Garrosh was 7-sided. With this team comp, are you really going to heal everyone? You have to heal either Vala or Raynor. Can you heal both at the same time? There's not much of a support who can actually do that.
I think a lot of people are scared of running Karazim into Blaze, but I think that there's just like too many good arguments for it. When you're running a Nubrok, you have to be ready to be like, we're killing one person, and that is everything we're going to do. And if you have Karazim, it's a lot easier. What we saw in that last fight was Lockdown was out of the fight because he was trying to run over and get a big Sundering, and he waited till the last second, and then it didn't hit anybody. It may have hit like the last second Blaze, maybe, but I don't even think so. And it just completely whiffed. He was out of the fight, wasn't setting up roots, wasn't doing damage, so they were reliant on 1 DPS. Malfurion does no damage in this fight, and you're basically just trying to dive so deep to kill the Hanzo player that everyone is already like so dead right afterwards. And then Phoenix is like, well, you guys are all so dead right now.
Yeah, that's what Tempest literally did. There's no way of going back here. We just have to try one final shot. They tried, which I think they should have done earlier. It was way too much of a level gap. I believe 3 level gap at that time. Immortal was already pushing, and the game was already lost. But they actually tried. A lot of pressure onto Lockdown, though. When signed as an Unubarak, it's really hard to open up because of that. Garrosh, if he Burrow charges in, and if he's thrown right after, he doesn't have an escape. He will die. That's the reason why he couldn't really initiate as an Anubarak. Maybe if he had the perfect synergy with that Sundering, but Ballistix, I think they really kept together with their control, and they really didn't give a chance for them to actually open up. That was really well played.
Yeah, it's one of those comps that it's so predictable what it needs to do and how it's going to operate that if you play defensively well against it, it just looks weak. And if you had Urel, maybe Urel just jumping in or getting some stuns or just having that extra tanking power, that extra sustain to get them into position to do more dives, to do more stuns, would have been better than a Thrall that was basically a Sundering bot who died in lane and didn't really end up being a valuable pick for them at all. And how Thrall is normally used in the meta is on a more defensive comp, where the enemy has a Nubarak, you have the Sunder to counter that kind of dive. You can initiate with it, but it's much more useful defensively initiating instead of trying to chase the Nubarak in and then Sunder afterwards. It's or vice versa, Sunder first so the Nubarak can come in. That's a lot more difficult to pull off.
Yeah, we knew that today, this match coming in. We knew that the condition of each player, how they're feeling on the day, how good they can actually play on the stage, was going to be a biggest factor. And today, Lockdown does not seem like he's having a great day so far. Solo lane, we talked about the weakness, the role swap here. And maybe it's about time for them to go back. I think Good is just overall so much better on that solo lane, right?
Yeah.
I'll be honest here. And I think Good can
at least
literally
today, yeah.
At least today and maybe forever.